Well, there we have it, folks. The 2023 season opener has come and gone. It was more of the same, I guess you could say, for the Elks. I really thought that this was going to be the day the streak ended and we would get our first victory in our friendly confines of the Commonwealth since 2019, but alas, it did not happen. Some of the same problems that held this team back last year manifested themselves once again. And it just seemed like a very familiar script from what we've seen with this team. Oftentimes, you would have a play get made on one side, but then something bad happens on the other side, and it just never quite comes together. And once again, that's what happened tonight. Obviously, there were some positive things that happened in this game. First and foremost, got to be Geno Lewis. He came as advertised. He was the primary weapon in the passing game, as we all expected. Had a spectacular 102-yard touchdown in this game. Looked like it might be the game winner for a while, but eventually Saskatchewan chipped away at it and eventually got back the lead and held on to it. Other positive things I see from this game, the run defense was a lot better. Take a look in the middle of that defensive line. You got Pelly in there just clogging things up. He was batting passes down. Really, he did a good job tonight. I even thought for the most part, the young DBs held up pretty well. Obviously, Gray had the interception. Yeah, there were a couple times that he and the other DBs got beat in coverage, but it's just going to happen some of the time. They weren't out there looking like burnt toast, which is what I think we all feared was going to happen, but it didn't. So, I got to say, well done to Chris Jones's defense. It certainly looks a lot better than it did last year through one game. Obviously, going to BC next week, where we were just absolutely obliterated last year. No Nathan Rourke this time, but let's see how we do against the Lions before we come out and start saying this defense is back. I mean, the potential is certainly there, but you look at the major weakness of this defense is they're not getting consistent pressure on the quarterback. I mean, Jake Seresna's pretty solid. He got in there, blew up some plays tonight, but he doesn't look like he's going to be one of those feared pass rushers. I hope he proves me wrong on this. I really do. We have to see. The negatives from this game, number one, penalties. Just dumb mistakes all around. It wasn't even particularly penalties you would define as being aggressive. Some of them just looked undisciplined. And that's obviously not going to get it done if you want to contend for the playoffs and, make a deep run. Just can't have things like that, but it's the first game, so hopefully that all gets sorted out. Another huge problem is the offensive line. That felt like a familiar tune to play where Cornelius didn't have time, constantly getting flushed out of the pocket. And unfortunately, it's not a good combination whenever you have blitzes getting there, pressure coming off the edge, and receivers not getting open. Can't put all this on the offensive line, though they deserve a big chunk of the blame. But, I mean, if you look at plays like, in the fourth quarter when they were trying to hit Dunbar on the go route, look at down the field, none of the receivers are open. What's Cornelius supposed to do at that point? Tuck it and run when he already has guys in his face? This is just not a good situation. But also, the play calling, come on now. I mean, I get it. Kyle Oxley is pretty good with that quarterback sneak, but you just do the same thing 3 times in a row? You don't even throw a different formation at the other team? I mean, you already have a mobile quarterback in Cornelius. You put him in the shotgun, try and roll him out. Do something different. What are you doing? This is frustrating to see because it was in the bag. It was there for the taking. But alas, we're going to have to keep waiting for that home victory. That said, it's going to happen at some point this season, but definitely this team has some issues to clean up to determine how many of them they will get. Some of these things seem like they come back to coaching, and I really do believe if things don't improve in a hurry, Stephen McAdoo and Chris Jones are both going to feel their seats get very warm. I know it's only week one and I don't want to overreact, but, you know, when you're given this much power as Chris Jones has been, patience is not always going to be there in the minds of others for you. Results are expected quickly. It's unfortunate because he inherited a team that he had to build from square one, and it's only basically year two of that process. But a man of his pedigree, results are expected quickly. We'll see if things can get turned around in the coming weeks. Hoping things are better against BC, but I'm not holding my breath right now.